Hey guys, how's it going? Today I've got a very quick video. Basically, I'm getting married soon, and here are some photos of my pre-wedding shoot that I got my sisters to shoot. So she's not really a photographer. Basically gave her the Fujifilm GFX 50S Mark II, the medium format camera with the 80mm f1.7 GF lens. So that's like a portrait lens, and if you convert it to full frame terms, that's like a 65mm. So I want to talk to you about this lens in this system because even though it's an old sensor, I think it uses the same sensor as the 50R and the 50S, but it's a very old sensor that's like 5 or 10 years old, but it still has really nice highlight and shadow recovery. So this is what I wanted to show, I guess. So if you take a look at these are like a series of photos that my sister took. She's 18, by the way. So basically I just got her, just click a button, make sure some photos are centered, make sure some photos are on the left or the right hand side, get some detail shots. And what you can see here is that this photo here wasn't taken properly. You can see there's like the highlight over here, and yeah, I guess that's expected when you give a camera to someone who doesn't do photography and they're not really sure how to use a camera properly, because when she's looking at the photo, this is all she sees. And to be honest, a lot of the photos was shot overexposed, so it was too bright, and I only realized this after the shoot finished. And thankfully with the Fujifilm 50S Mark II, so I'm just going to use the highlights and pull it down, there's still so much detail that you can recover. So this is one of the things why medium format, I guess, differentiates itself with full frame cameras, is that the amount of data that you can pull from, or I guess that you can play with, like the highlights, the shadows, is quite amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you my typical editing workflow. So I'm just going to use my preset that I use for my weddings. I have different presets depending on if it's an Asian wedding, an American wedding, like a Spanish wedding, Asian wedding, and this one I'm using is basically for an Asian wedding, and you always have to play around with it. So this to me is slightly too green, just gonna increase the pinks a little bit. And besides that, that amount of yellow is pretty nice. Just reduce the texture slightly because I'm more of a fan of the soft look. What you might find in edits these days for wedding photography is that photographers really like to use the texture button and make it like sharp like this, and a bit more contrast like that. But for me, it's not really my style. I prefer the nice soft look, so I just pulled the haze slightly towards the left, so it's negative, give it less clarity, so it looks a bit more soft and nice, and same with the texture. I'll just play around with this, the blacks, the whites, the shadows, that's pretty good. And again, the whites again. I'll just copy the same setting. Just copy everything except transform and crop and healing. Nice. So then what I'm going to do is just individually edit these photos again. So this is slightly too bright, and see, look at that, the amount of data that you can play with is crazy. Can you see that, how it's clipping over there? So what you need to do is just reduce it, so then the white shows more detail. There you go. So I guess what I'm trying to show is that with this camera, even though you're like shooting slightly overexposed, you can still save it, which is pretty nice. So just doing a few more quick edits. So normally after these basic edits, normally I do all the other edits afterwards, like, you know, getting rid of pimples on the face, scars on the face, so it's nice and smooth. You know, I might do some body shifting as well and the face shifting, you know, to help with the double lines, the double chins, longer legs, things like that. So that's all afterwards, but basically I just pay attention to the color first of all, and then do all the rest later. So this is basically just the color photos, and I'll just go through it again. So what I'll do now is I'll do a before after, left and right, so you can see the difference in the raw photo on the left and the edited photo on the right. So that looks pretty good in my opinion. I'm pretty happy with that. And then this one here, before on the left, after on the right, can probably make it slightly more right. That's pretty nice. Again, can probably darken this one. Can darken this one. Darken this one. Darken this one as well. And it gives a good idea, so you get to see what a raw photo looks like when you take photos from a camera, and what simple editing with the correct presets, because you really need to use the right presets based on skin color. And because I'm shooting photography in Australia, there's so many different cultures in this country, and there's a lot of pretty much all the different types, all the countries are here in Australia. Like, you have supermarkets from all the different countries, so there's all types of people. And I guess for photographers selling presets in countries where their main photography market is the same skin tone, is really great. But for countries with lots of different types of cultures, you really have to use different presets or make your own presets depending on what their skin tone is like and what type of colors they prefer. But yeah, this is pretty much my workflow in terms of color grading and what I like to do. But the main point is basically just like Fujifilm GFX 50S Mark II with the GF 80mm f1.7 is probably one of my favorite setups at the moment. Like, it's just so beautiful. I really like this setup. And that's it for today. Just a nice quick video to talk about the camera, my pre-wedding photos, and also the editing workflow that I do. Hope you enjoy this. I'll talk to you next time. Catch you later.